Hello everybody. Previously we discussed about different types of octave bands such as 1 by 1, 1/3 and higher resolution octave bands such as 1/6, 1/12 and 1/24. In this video I'm going to compare all the octave bands that we have discussed so far and finally conclude on which is the optimal one to use. Alright, let's get started. So there are 6 criteria based on which I want to compare these 3 octave bands. They are as follows. The first criteria is frequency resolution. I'm comparing here octave 1 by 1, octave 1/3, and from octave the higher resolution octaves such as 1/6, 1/12 and 1/24. So the first criteria is frequency resolution. So the frequency resolution is very less for octave 1 by 1 bands because there are only 8 bands that form the octave 1 by 1. It is fairly good for octave 1/3 because there are like 32 bands that represent the octave 1/3 frequency. It's really good for octave 1/6, 1/12 and 1/24 because the number of bands are very high and the frequency resolution is incredibly high. Now, based on the frequency resolution is the accuracy. The accuracy is less for octave 1 by 1. It increases. It's fairly good for octave 1/3 and it's very good for octave 1/6, the higher resolution octaves. The accuracy is dependent on frequency resolution. Greater the frequency resolution, greater the accuracy. Now, next is the data space, the amount of data that the octave plots will consume. Now, octave 1 by 1 is really good at this because it's dependent on the frequency resolution. It's actually inversely proportional. The lower the frequency resolution, the lower the data consumed, so greater the savings. So it doesn't consume a lot of space. The octave 1/3 consumes some space because it is slightly higher resolution with respect to the octave 1 by 1. The high resolution octaves are not good at this. They consume a lot of space. Now, based on the data space is the processing time. Well, greater the data space, greater the processing time, and lesser the space, lesser the processing time. So it's again directly proportional. Octave 1 by 1 takes little time to process when you're using octave 1 by 1 resolution, little greater time for octave 1/3, a lot of time for octave 1/6, 1/12 or 1/24. The next is the industrial usage. Now, in industries, the most common, the ones that are used are octave 1/3. And octave 1 by 1 is also preferred, but the higher resolution octaves are not preferred commonly. They are seldom used, only when there is a great need to pinpoint a particular frequency, like a tonal component. Alright, and the last criteria is the correlation with the human perception of sound. Now, it has been found that the octave 1/3 correlates with how the human perceives the sound after 500 hertz, whereas that is not been found with the other octave bands, especially not with 1 by 1. So these are the 6 criteria that I use to compare between all 3 octave bands, and based on this, I'd say octave 1/3 is the best one to use because it offers a good frequency resolution at the same time not consuming a lot of data space. Alright, now I'm gonna demonstrate all the 3 octave bands, meaning octave 1 by 1, octave 1/3 and octave 1/6 using an app. Hello there, this is the real-time app. So here you can observe the 1 by 1 octave band spectrum. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate each of the octave bands, the octave 1 by 1, the octave 1/3 and the octave 1 by 6. And I'm going to blow a whistle and I'm going to determine my own whistle's frequency, and I'm going to show you how the accuracy increases as you move on from octave 1 by 1 to 1/3 and 1/6. Alright, let's get started. This is octave 1 by 1. Alright, so as you observed here, my whistle frequency was around 1000 Hz. Now this is a little coarse, like it's not exactly 1000 Hz, and I'll show you when I switch to octave 1/3, 1/6. Alright, this is 1/3 octave band spectrum. I'm going to repeat the experiment and blow my whistle, and I'm going to determine the frequency of my whistle. Alright. So as you can see here, this band popped up, and the frequency, as you can observe here, is 1259, so approximately 1300 hertz. So now you can observe that in octave 1 by third is showing 1300 hertz, as opposed to octave 1 by 1, which was showing just 1000 hertz band. Now this is 1/6 octave band. As you can observe, it's really clogged up. Lots of frequency bands here. Alright, I'm going to blow my whistle again. Alright, now I can observe the frequency to be 1334. So it pinpoints to a greater extent. But as you can observe, between 1/6 and 1/3, there's not a lot of difference. 1/3 was really close. I mean, like, it pointed out as 1300 hertz, and 1/6 is pointing out as 1334. So we can conclude that 1/3 is much better at predicting frequencies than 1 by 1, and also it doesn't consume a lot of space. Alright, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day.